Why am I wearing glasses?
Buyer's remorse.
Hello and welcome to Buyer's Remorse, also known as Do I Own That Game? I'm Darren.
I'm Justin.
We are doing the show. Well, yeah, of course we are. What are we doing? We get a game. No, that's not. We get lots of games in our library. We've got too many games in our libraries, and we can't play them all. And so some of them go unnoticed. And me and Justin find the ones that have 0.0 hours played on Steam and see what kind of torture we can put each other through with all these free garbage games that we got from bundles.
Or I ask if you played it, because usually you farmed it for cards already
true.
for 2 hours.
I should lie more about that. I'm too honest. Like, oh no, I just farmed it for cards.
Well, you better be. The show's over, because you farmed pretty much everything, I think, now.
All right, so hopefully I picked another good one for you since... did I pick Police Autobahn Simulator 2 for you this time?
No, but I don't own that one.
Not yet. Is Christmas coming soon, Justin?
Yeah. You get one per year, so it's going to be a next year one, so keep that in mind. No, this was Leisure Suit Larry 1.
Oh, yeah.
In the land of the lounge lizards.
Yeah, I played this as a kid.
Well, I don't know how you did that. I don't know how you broke their awesome quiz at the beginning to stop you.
So yeah, but I'm wondering how it holds up today, because I don't know if I own this.
I suspect you do, but I didn't look, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, so take me back in time.
Leisure Suit Larry 1, In the Land of the Lounge Lizards, from... Well, if you look at the Steam page, it says it was released in 2017, but clearly not.
No.
Otherwise, they put out 8 games in 3 years. Originally, from what I read, it was 1987. And then even within 4 years, they had already done a remake. And then there was a Kickstarter. Again, I was looking at the Wikipedia page is where I found this. There was some sort of Kickstarter version remake in 2013, but I don't remember hearing about that.
I don't even remember the original being that old. I wasn't 10 years old when I played it, that's for sure. I was definitely a teenager because it didn't start PC gaming until in the 90s, so...
It has a positive rating, but only 40 reviews. This is an old game. People aren't going back to review it a lot. It is roughly $4 to $4.50 at base, which isn't terrible. I suspect that you will probably, if you don't use a walkthrough, you're going to put your 4 hours into it.
Right.
It's developed by Sierra Online, which is a name I'm familiar with, but it's published by Assemble Entertainment, and that I'm not. I know I bought this in a bundle. I think I probably just committed to buying the whole set. This was a game that I had heard about since... I probably didn't hear about it till I was in college. And again, because when I grew up, not a lot of people had their own computers. So this wasn't the type of game that my friends who did have computers would have. And so I had heard about it. And in my head originally, way back when I'd first heard about it, somebody explained it to me and it sounded like a text adventure. Which it sort of is, but it's really more the adventure game text where you have to type in talk bartender.
Right.
And so even in those early days, I had it misunderstood. It's not. It is a game where you can move your character around the screen, but you have to give these commands. And I thought that the version I had both the original and the remake. And I was going to play the remake just because it looks a bit better. But the only version that popped up was the original. So I am playing on at least what I think is the original. It's very pixelated. Larry's legs are always bent when he's walking. They look like little C's as he's walking. The controls are a bit awkward.
Yeah.
But not like an Ocean's game where we don't know what's going on. You can use the arrow keys, no problem. The problem is, at least in my version and on my computer, whenever I push a direction for Larry to walk in, he will walk in that direction until he hits some sort of obstacle.
Okay.
Which can be a bit of a problem when you're trying to stop to talk to a person, because you have to, if they're moving and you're also moving, you have to time it right to push against them so that you'll both stop so that you can talk to them. Larry Laffer is our hero, I guess, if we're going to put it that way. And he is a 38 to 40-year-old loser, depending on which version you have. Apparently in 87, he was meant to be 38, but in 91, they made him 40.
It's inflation, man. Yeah. 2 years more, and then you're a loser.
Well, he was older, right? So if he was 37 or 38 in 87, he aged 3 years in 91. He hadn't had his birthday yet. So it could count for that. Here's the thing, though. This game does have adult content. So as we go any further, I'm just going to put the warning here now. This discussion will probably be not safe for work. This discussion will definitely not be safe for little kids. So keep that in mind if you're going to keep listening or keep watching.
You're looking at me as if you're going to blame me for something, Justin.
No. But that is the nature of Leisure Suit Larry. It's one of these I want to have sex games.
Yeah, that's why we played it as teenagers, man. We were like, wow, we get to see people fucking on screen. That's not a porno that we can have to steal.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, we are, because I know I was very disappointed.
I'm sure you were. So there's also some puzzles that I'm probably going to give away, at least early puzzles.
I don't remember any. But there were puzzles in this game?
Well, adventure games are inherently a puzzle where you get a bunch of different inventory keys that work in different places.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to say yeah.
Yeah.
But the very first one, the most difficult one and the most irritating one, is this quiz you have to take at the beginning to prove you're old enough to play.
Yeah. How did you get on with that?
It was very hit or miss. And because the game is old, anytime I went out to do text conversation with you or to check on anything else I need to check, you can't window back in properly. The game starts to become different. Elements of the Windows taskbar will start to sneak into the image. And there was a couple times, I think, where I came back and the top part of the screen had moved to the bottom of the screen, as though the whole screen had shifted up.
Okay, and wrapped around?
And wrapped around the bottom. It's like, okay, so I have to exit the game and come back in and take this quiz again. Every time you gotta take this quiz again. This quiz, boy, these questions are old even for 87. They're asking about things like, who was the name of the famous Mouseketeer, Annette, blah, blah, blah. And you have to choose A, B, C, or D. Now, I knew this one because it's Annette Funicello. I knew that one.
Okay.
It was a thing where when they made the new Mickey Mouse Club, it made my mom nostalgic to talk about the old Mickey Mouse Club.
Okay.
So I knew who she was. And I think she'd also done some of the Disney movies and things like that. But some of the other things, there's some political things I don't know. There are some references I don't get. There's one, I can't remember the question now. I've got it a couple times where I'm pretty sure the answer is wrong. Oh, it's something about what show did Elvis and all these other people appear on first. What would you say?
I have no idea because I don't really know those old school. I only know the Ed Sullivan Show.
And that's the one I kept thinking it was supposed to be.
Right.
And we're going to have to look that up to find out because the other options were The Tonight Show, which is definitely not. And there's some like super happy fun show, which says like that doesn't even really exist.
So what was the question? Sorry, it was like, what show did Elvis and who else
Well, just do Elvis because it would all be the same.
make his
show.
first appearance on? Like
Yeah.
that kind of thing? Yeah, it's the Ed Sullivan Show.
Yeah, so I guessed that twice, and twice it told me I was wrong.
Well, that's a good start. For a puzzle game as well, yeah.
If you get two wrong, you're out. You literally get kicked out of the game. The game stops.
Sounds like this would actually be a good game to put on for a bit of pub trivia or something like that instead.
Really
old school,
pub trivia. A lot of the stuff I didn't know. Some of it is so ridiculously obvious that a school kid would probably know it better than an adult
Right.
because they probably have just learned it. But some of them, are just so old. It's like, what are you thinking? Who is Frank Sinatra? Yeah, pretty much anybody can get that one. Which of these were president? There are just a lot of those, and it's just irritating to do every time. Every time.
Well, like every time you start up the game, you answer. Oh, not like you answer it once you're in and then you can continue.
No, every time you start up the game. Okay. It'd be nice if they gave you some sort of password that you could bypass it from then on.
But then I guess in the old days it would be like, what's the word on page 9, paragraph 2? You know, that was the old like anti-piracy thing that they would have in the old days, like in the instruction book. What's the word on this page? Or they'd have those tables where it would be like B4.
Maybe. I was more thinking that with question 1, if you typed in a particular word, you could bypass the quiz from then on.
Right.
Like after you'd already proved that quote unquote, that you're old enough. Yeah. I mean, they're asking about Tommy Dorsey and
Who's that?
Lawrence Welk. So Tommy Dorsey, Lawrence Welk. Lawrence Welk would be old PBS. He had an orchestra, where I think there was something about the opening where there were lots of bubbles on the screen kind of thing. It would have been old even then.
Because, I mean, okay, so in 80, what was it, 87?
87, right.
So in 87, they're aiming for you to have been born in 69 or 68, yeah?
It seemed like they were more gearing these questions toward
It sounds like
my
it's even
parents
older.
than
Yeah,
to me.
it sounds like they're probably looking for someone born at the early 60s or even 50s by these questions. Yeah, I'd be lost. All those names you just said, you're talking Greek to me now, man. It's like, I don't know anything.
You can get two wrong, and some of them, I don't know if there is a right answer. Like one was, my boss is a jerk, is a big jerk, is a real big jerk, signs my paycheck or something. And all of those seem like, well, any of those could be right, but it's not real big jerk because that's the one I guessed and it was wrong. It's just irritating to do over and over and over again. But it was funny the first time I did it.
Yeah, but not the 10th.
Yeah. You start off the game in front of Lefty's bar. I walked into the street and immediately was run over by a taxi and died.
Man, that brings back a memory, yep.
This can be a very quick game because you can die so many ways.
Yeah.
So I died while I was still trying to figure out the controls. Oh yeah, it even says, wow, the traffic is killer. Maybe you want to start over. Yeah, thanks.
Womp womp.
So it is text adventure with the images and the character you can control. You are in front of Lefty's bar, so the first thing you're probably going to want to do is get into the bar. You walk up to the door and you say, open door. You're now in. You see a room with a bar, a fan, a jukebox, a moose's head, a door off to the right, a kind of doorway towards the back, two guys sitting facing forward, who I don't think you ever really interact with, a bartender, a guy in a white shirt who just talks constantly, and a woman sitting next to him. If you try to talk to the woman, she just says, I don't like you, and my boyfriend's going to beat you up when he comes back. Which isn't the case, but we'll get to that in a bit. The guy in the white shirt just keeps telling you jokes, but not actual jokes, just the punchline. So you're getting all these dirty punchlines, but not actually getting the joke. From the jukebox, you can play the music, but I would not if I were you. At least thus far, I've not found a purpose for the music, and it is very loud. All of the music, all of the sounds of this game is very loud. I turned down the volume every time I played so far. There's a painting behind the bar of it's so funny how much they could express with the low pixel rate that they were using, but it's clearly a giant painting of a naked woman. And so if you say, look, painting, Larry's going to say, I don't know art, but I know what I like. There's a lot of that kind of humor. So if you like that kind of humor, then you might appreciate the game. If you don't like that kind of humor, don't. I'm just going to say it now. We'll get to it at the end again, but yeah, this is what the game is. You can talk to the bartender. You can get one of 3 drinks. You can get wine, which makes you talk very highbrow, I guess. You're talking about its hints and everything, and the bartender looks at you and says, who are you? You can get beer, and if you drink too much of either of those for about a minute and a half, when you try to walk around, Larry will just not follow controls and will just go in weird directions.
Yeah.
Or you can get a whiskey, which they humorously say you decide not to drink, but carry precariously in an open shot glass, which is fine because you're not going to carry it very far, hopefully. Because when you go towards the back, now if this is the woman's boyfriend, he's not a concern, but I suspect he's not. So I suspect there's no boyfriend in there because you can go into the bathroom and there's nobody there. But when you go into the back room, enjoy the lovely rendition of How Dry I Am in chiptune music. Stumble up to the drunken man sitting on the floor, give him the whiskey, and you're going to get a remote control, which will come in handy later. On the table, sitting randomly in this hallway, is a rose. So you're going to take that rose. Then you go into the bathroom. And this, again, Leisure Suit Larry, welcome to Toilet Humor. In the menu, there is a bodily functions option.
Yep.
But you always get the same response. It says, Larry turns and whatever you say. So if you say peas, Larry turns and peas, then turns back with a slight smile on his face. That's pretty much for everything.
Yeah.
But here in the toilet, you can say pee and he'll walk up to it and just say, okay. That's what you get. But what you really need to do is you need to sit down. And once you sit on the toilet, then you bring up the newspaper, the Ball Street Journal that just happens to be there.
Jesus.
And to finish, you can either say wipe, you can say stand. It's one thing that I do like about this game.
Mm-hmm.
It does have multiple solutions to get the same action to happen.
Okay.
I noticed this a few times where I tried different combinations of words and it did work. It's still not perfect. It's still an adventure game. There's still many times where I was frustrated because I didn't know the exact right word to put in, but it is more forgiving than most in that respect.
Especially from that time. Not a young game.
But dare to flush the toilet and it will back up and flood and you will drown.
What? Jeez, I do not remember that.
Well, you missed one of the death endings then.
Yeah, okay.
If you don't do that, if you want to wash your hands, well, good luck because there's no soap. And if you're playing this and you're stuck at some point, maybe you, like me, looked at absolutely everything except the two things you were supposed to look at in the bathroom.
Of course.
So you can look in the mirror. It says you look very handsome, so obviously there's something wrong with the mirror, but I still haven't found if there's anything to do with the mirror. What I was supposed to do was look in the sink to find a diamond ring that some woman must have left there. So you get a diamond ring, and also you are supposed to look at the stall walls and read through about 6 messages to get a password.
Okay.
Now, I did not find either of those things on my own. After I finished my hour, I have played it more.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times where I just got stuck and didn't know what I was doing. So I did find a walkthrough, and I've been using that to hint my way through because there are just some things that don't make any sort of logical sense.
Yeah.
It is an adventure game.
It is an adventure game, and it's from that era where it was like, yeah, those dumb things like give the guy a shot of whiskey and he gives you a remote control. Why? Why would that happen? And then what do you have to do with that remote? Well, I'm sure you're going to tell us. But yeah, those old school adventure games, I don't know. I played a lot of them. Monkey Island, this. But again, we were not playing this for the same fun that we played Monkey Island. You know, we finished Monkey Island without hints and things like that because there weren't any. there wasn't any, and there wasn't an internet.
That's the thing, is I'm doing this on my own. It was a friend of mine around college days where I had talked to him about, I had to use some sort of walkthrough to get through something, and I felt really bad about it. And he said, well, here's the situation, right? When we were kids, we would have played the game together, or would have talked about it, we would have helped each other through.
And kids at school you'd all be talking about it as well, like, oh, I found this secret, you know, or where was it, you know? Yeah, we were our own internet.
Right. When you don't have that resource anymore, where do you go? And the other thing is this. He said, if you didn't have that resource, if you didn't use that, would you have continued playing? And quite often my answer is no, because if I'm completely stuck, if I have no idea, I might come back a couple more times, but if I don't see it, what am I doing? I don't want to walk around for days in circles around a game like this, especially a game like this.
Yeah. I mean, I was stuck on Riven, I want to say for years, but I think that's maybe a bit of an exaggeration, but it was definitely months. It was a puzzle towards the end. It was ridiculously hard, and I was just stuck on it, and it was one of those games same way I'm playing The Witness. It's like, I fire it up, I have a go, I try and solve a few more puzzles, and that's it. And I would do the same thing for Riven. But eventually I got it. It was like, basically it's a marble puzzle. I was one square wrong on one of them. I mean, for a game like this, especially nowadays where the game logic is subpar, man. It's not what we're used to anymore. Yeah, give the guy a whiskey to get a remote control, or look in this pixel hunting in a pixelated game is no fun.
That doesn't seem to be an issue here. Everything you're supposed to look for is hidden. You don't see it. So,
oh, really? Yeah?
Yeah, so like you don't actually see into the sink to see that there's a diamond
Sure,
ring.
yeah, okay, I get what you mean, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not on the screen. You have to look at everything. Which, we talked about this with Gaps when we did Stories Untold. That whole look
right.
is the biggest thing you need to do. And yeah, that's what I was doing. And so even here, I was looking at brick walls, I was looking at the moose head, I was looking at absolutely everything except for stuff that I didn't think about, right? I didn't think about read stall wall or read wall. I didn't think look in the sink. And that one I should have. That should have come to me. You will get a password to get into the main bar. There's a hotel door off the bar.
Okay.
That's what you need it for, is a password to get in. And you need the remote control there you're going to figure it out very quickly. There's a TV. So obviously to get past the big guy who's blocking the stairway, you have to keep flipping the channels again, like 10 times. It's so many times to go through. Oh, there's some sort of joke, and some of them are funny and some of them are not. Mm-hmm. But then you always have the dialogue, I guess that's not interesting to move him. And then change the channel. Da-da-da. You can't even choose the number, right? You just keep hitting change channel, read wall. You have to go through their whole cycle in order to get it. And there's no hints, there's no clues, there's no anything. But if you do that, you will get him to move, so you can go up the stairs. Now here's the thing. You can use your arrow keys to move around, or you can use the number pad to move around. I got stuck on the stairs because there's a part where you actually have to walk up at an angle. So you have to use the number 7 to get up. Whereas if you use the arrow keys, I couldn't seem to get going up there. And I was like, oh, the game is broken. It's not broken, but you need to use the number keys. But here's the frustrating thing. When you need to type in numbers, because there's a point later in the game where you can type in a phone number, guess what you can't use?
The number
pad. You have to go back to the WASD keys to use it. Like, come on. Why are you doing that? So you go up there. There is a prostitute at the top, but you don't really want to have sex with her without the condom, which you need to find later. Which this is the thing that I had heard about from my friend. So when he was explaining about this game to me back in college, it was the quest for the condom. And apparently that took him a while to figure out, because that was the key thing he remembered from the game.
Right.
But there's so much more to the game. But there's all sorts of things. I don't want to go puzzle by puzzle, but I do want to talk about a couple of the things that were incredibly frustrating about this game. When you're on that main screen, if you walk to either side, you're going to end up in an alley. And in the alley, there's always going to be a big person who comes in and beats you up, and you die. And when you die, you get sucked down into Sierra Online headquarters, which is kind of funny and meta. And they replace your body and send you back up. And they say, well, now you know what happens every time you hit restart. We have to do this every time. Yeah, haha, very funny, right? It is kind of funny the first time. It's not funny again the 5th or 6th time, because pretty much any screen you're on, if you go too far to the sides, you're going to end up there. And if you don't run away quick enough, you get beat up, and there seems to be nothing you can do to stop it. So I was stuck here. I did find there was a way to go around the corner and get into a dumpster and get a hammer, and I could see the upstairs thing. But again, I hadn't found the password. So that whole hotel thing, I couldn't get into. I didn't know what I was doing. I knew there must be somewhere else. The whole game couldn't just be this bar. And so I wandered around, and I started clicking around with the mouse, and that's when I found there were all these functions at the top where you can actually save your game, which I didn't realize for the longest time, and all these other sorts of things that you can do. And one of them talks about the Sierra helpline, which is important because you can actually use that number on a phone to get not an achievement, but the game has points. There are 222 points.
Okay.
So when you give the whiskey to the guy to get the remote control, you get a point. I think when you pick up the rose, you get a point. So for each thing you do to move the story along, you get a point. And there are 220 of these. Now, I'm not sure if some are worth more than others. I didn't pay close attention to that. But one of the things you can get points for, I think, are dialing these numbers when you find them. But this one that is the Sierra hint line, you can buy a book. And then when you call it, it says, this is one of the greatest jokes in the game, I think, that you're going to get a book with Leisure Suit Larry on the cover, and it's going to give you all sorts of good information, but it's written in invisible ink that you can only find out once you've written it down using a pen, meaning you're just getting an empty notebook.
Just sell you a blank bit of paper, yeah.
But I love the fact that it's this joke of, here's the helpline we're giving you, and now use it in the game. It was quite funny.
Can you use that number in real life, do you think? Did it look like a real... Or was it a 555?
No, that one wasn't. So I suspect that it might have. It might have been one of those things where if you actually called, they would have had a voice message that you would have been able to listen to that would be funny as well.
I thought it was like one of those like Nintendo where they had like the game help guys on.
I don't think this was that. I don't think it was to that level. At least that's my suspicion. I don't know.
Because I remember those numbers in magazines. Like there was a lot of those. They had ones for all the kind of old Commodore 64 Spectrum games, helplines. They had ones on that High Score documentary on Netflix. They did the episode for Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo Power was a big one. Here's the thing. There's a sign that says taxi stand, but I didn't see it for a long time because when I went to that corner, I got the drop-down menu. And so I thought that's all it was on that sign. I didn't realize that there were two different things. So eventually I did see that. And so I called a taxi. You just say, yo, taxi, or call taxi or call cab. I think any of those work. Mm-hmm. It'll pull up. Don't be standing in the road because it'll run you over. But you get into the taxi. Now the taxi is probably the most annoying thing for me in the game because you have to use it all the time and it's really expensive.
Right.
And at this point in the game, I didn't know where I was going. It said, where do you want to go? And I went, honestly, I don't know. So I put in dance club, nothing. Club, nothing. And I was just in a panic of, oh, I don't know where else I can go. So I randomly just put in store, which took me to a convenience store. And there's a convenience store, not a dance club, but a disco.
Okay.
Even though this was 87 and 91. And that's pretty much just all on that street. There's a drunk guy you're going to have to buy wine for. This is where the phone is. This is also the convenience store where you can get, I guess, one condom. It costs like $8. It's quite pricey. And the gallon bottle of wine, which is $1.
Wow. Get 8 of those.
You can, but you can only, I think, do one at a time. But you don't want to, because if you dare to get into the taxi with wine, the driver will smell it, drink it, and then drunk drive and crash into something. And you die. Again, lots of ways to die in this game.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, I didn't even get to that point because after about an hour, I think I only got to the point where I got here, I tried out some of the numbers, I was able to give the guy the bottle of wine, and he gave me a knife, which you can't use on the bad guys in the alley, so you still have to take the taxi everywhere. Now, I have played Beyond. I've played hours Beyond trying to beat this game.
I've seen you just as now playing Leisure Suit Larry.
I love adventure games, even though they frustrate me so much. And here's the thing. There is a casino, which I guess if you looked at the Steam page and looked at the pictures, you would know, but there's nothing in the game to say, hey, there's a casino in town. Why don't you go there?
Right.
Maybe there was something in the original packaging that would have helped you out. But it does make me wonder, is there a whole area to the game that I haven't even found yet because I don't know what else to put in? I've looked at those pictures and I only still see the areas that I've been to. So hopefully, in a way, it's only the 3 areas because if there's anything else, I don't know what else to put in. I've put in all sorts of random stuff.
It would have been in the instruction books. It would have been in there. Yeah, it sounds like you should need one of those like text walkthroughs then, just to even show you like area by area, and then you'll know at least, okay, I can go to the casino area. Did you go to a casino then?
Yeah, so I've been to the casino now.
Can you gamble and stuff in that?
Yes.
Oh,
and
cool.
In fact, you can save between each hand, so you can just...
so like Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah,
yay!
you just keep restarting and restarting until you...
What games have they got?
I only found 2. It's a slot machine and blackjack.
All right.
Blackjack is definitely better because
really?
you can bet up to 20 per hand.
Okay.
I don't know how high you can bet with the slot machine, but the slot machine is random. Mm-hmm. Whereas blackjack, at least you stand a chance. Though I have seen the dealer hit on 17 before, which makes no sense. That's not the way the game works.
Right.
But the thing is, when you're playing it so that you can save every time you win and just keep restarting until you get it. But that's very important because there are times where you can easily get down to no money, and the taxi will sometimes charge you $9 and sometimes charge you $21, and it seems random. So there are times where you need money. Yeah. There's a time where I got most of my money taken, so I had to go back and do all of the gambling again. It's not terrible, but it gets a bit tedious.
Is it animated?
I mean, you see cards move around.
I mean, do you get to see your hand, though? Or does it just tell you in text, like you have a king and an ace?
Oh, no, you see it. Yeah.
Oh, you see it? Okay.
No, it's not that bad. No,
not that texty.
No. It's the only text is you telling
Like
Larry what to
commands.
do. Yeah. But there are some weird ones. So in the casino with the elevator, you get in and you're supposed to type the word for the floor you want. So don't type a number. And don't say press button. But it does, when I put press button, it does give you the hint of write a word like 1 or 2. It's like, okay, 2, 3, 4. And I don't know how many floors there are. And I think that that's going to be the big thing is there's probably going to be things on multiple floors. I'm going to have to go floor by floor to find something that looks interesting.
Floor by floor to find David Pumpkins.
Yeah. Are there 99 floors of Fright in here? I don't know. I'm hoping it doesn't go to 99. I'm hoping 10 maybe is the max. But that's the game. It's naughty humor. It is walking around a lot. It's a lot of guessing. It's a lot of hoping that you found everything that you need. It's an adventure game.
I have now that you explain it to me, I have very limited memory of this game now. Because I remember, so you didn't even get to have sex in the game.
Well, I did later. But the thing is, okay, so if you get you could probably have sex without the condom, but
that'd be a death scene.
That would be a death scene, probably. I had it anyway.
Right.
Which, by the way, I think that there's multiple ways, again, with the word that you could put in for that. But the word that they give you is prophylactic. Like,
yes.
Oh, help me remember to spell that.
I remember that because I remember being a kid, what the fuck is that? What is that? I learned something from this game.
Yeah, apparently they can be striped or plaid.
Yeah.
You have to go through this annoying set of preferences you want for which one you want. And honestly, I think that does kind of go back to the day of when they were hidden behind the counter and you had to ask for them. It's so much better in a world where you don't have to do that.
It's just right there on the shelf at the checkout.
But there's the funny part where after you order it, the guy goes, "Hey, everybody, he ordered this." And then all of a sudden, this empty store, all these heads pop out of the shelves and go, "Whoa!" Yeah, it's that kind of stuff. It is nostalgic. It is kind of funny in that way, but it's the type of thing that I find amusing, but I can't guarantee that everybody else would.
Yeah, I would agree. But yeah, so tell us about the sex scene then.
It's censored.
Yeah.
It literally says the word censored.
Yeah.
And that's what you see.
So imagine my teenage disappointment. I think in the later games they actually showed it, but it was so pixelated. You couldn't even see what was going on anyway.
Well, you say that, but there are 8 of them, and I suspect you didn't make it to 8.
No, I definitely didn't.
Well, I say there's 8, but I'm pretty sure that 4 never came out, and that's a joke.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the Wikipedia article I was reading, one of them never actually came out, so the numbers skip. Because I noticed in my bundle it seemed like I was missing one.
Ah, okay.
But that was the joke, is that it never actually came out. Like, it was planned, they were going to work on it, but money fell through or something, so that one never actually got made.
But I mean, it's surprising as well, like, for a game that's not really got a broad audience, that they managed to release 7 episodes.
Yeah, and I know we played one for a bit that was, I think, PlayStation 2.
Okay.
So that's the thing, they've kept going. I think that there's probably always going to be an audience for a game like this.
But I mean, to get funding and to get programmers and developers and publishers on board for 8 sequels, or whatever, 7 sequels, that's impressive. They're doing something right.
Maybe. Or maybe it's just the cult status it has that keeps it going. People like us that are willing to play it, even if it's not perfect, willing to go back and support it. And maybe it's just the type of thing where when older guys tell younger guys about it, they go, "Oh, that sounds funny. Let me check it out." And
I think even for people who knew it existed as a kid but never played it because they get in trouble from their parents or something like that, or their parents wouldn't allow it.
I suspect that there are a lot of people playing it in college that couldn't have played it when they're younger, yeah.
Almost sounds like a Filling in the Gaps episode now. We've gone completely off the rails, but
it is an adventure game, and pretty much I think any adventure game could probably fit in a Filling in the Gaps in some way.
So what tags then would you give this one? This is fairly straightforward, I guess.
It is. Adventure game, adult, and humor.
Yeah, fair enough.
You could put adult humor together, and it'd probably be more accurate, but yes.
So if you could put adult humor together, then what would you...
No, I'm not giving another one. I already have my 3. Adventure game, adult, humor. I mean, illogical would fit. But
Yeah. You've obviously gone back to play it again, but what
yeah, I plan to beat it.
Will you... that was going to be my question. Where are you going to go for the gold then? You're going to try and finish the whole thing?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to go for the full 222 points. There's probably going to be one little thing that I miss along
Are you
the way.
close to the end now? How close do you think
I'm
you are?
halfway.
Okay.
Point-wise, I'm about 140 points, so I'm a little over halfway.
All right. So who would you recommend it to then?
I mean, it's tough to recommend because of the adult humor and at times sexist humor. So who would I recommend it to? I mean, people who don't mind that. And it would be a tough one to recommend to somebody unless I knew them well. And it would probably have to be with the caveat of, yeah, but it's old school sex humor.
I mean, do you think it's for people who aren't easily offended? Is it that offensive, do you think?
I think so, because I think it's not so much that they're really going to be really offended by it, but they're not going to find it amusing.
Right.
If you don't find the humor amusing, there's nothing in this game for you. That is the key to the game.
Fair enough. So, buyer's remorse or confirmation?
This is definitely confirmation. I got it for $1.50 in the bundle. I'm well over the hour and a half. Yeah, it's frustrating, but like I said, if I can use the walkthrough for a bit of hints, get through it, hopefully I'll be through it in a day or two, and I'll have enjoyed the time.
Buyer's confirmation.
Add another notch to your bedpost then.
What, my game confirmation bedpost?
Yeah. Had to throw in something like that.
He didn't, but okay.